Hey everyone, Ashton here with MuseThemes.com, and welcome back to another tutorial video. Let's take a look at our new secondary sliding nav tutorial. Now this is pretty cool. It's a widget that displays secondary or sub-nav menus in a really unique way. When you click on one of the menu items that indicate a sub-menu, you see a secondary menu slide in from above. And that menu, of course, has new options for the parent menu item, like services leading to business cards, postcards, etc. One of the most commonly requested features over the years here at MuseThemes has always been for options for displaying sub-menus in the site navigation. The built-in Muse menus are not great for sub-menus, so this widget provides another option. Now on mobile devices and smaller screens, a hamburger icon is shown, allowing full functionality of the menu there as well. Let's jump over to Muse. Working with the demo project file here with the widget removed, let's jump into the widget library and drag it out onto the page. Now in most cases, you're probably going to want to drop this widget on your master page so that the navigation is consistent on all pages, but we're just going to put it here for now. Now let's make sure it's aligned right at the top of the page. Now this widget essentially becomes your site's header, so feel free to adjust the height of the widget to reflect how tall you want your header to be, and in most cases you're probably going to want to make sure that this is sized to full browser width. Perfect. Now since this is a living element on the page, feel free to place things layered on top of it, such as a site logo for the corner. If you're having trouble getting it to show up for some reason, just make sure that the icon is layered above the widget, and you can right-click on it and select Arrange or use your Layers panel. Now let's jump into the Settings panel of the widget. So this section right here at the top, we have some global styling settings for the widget, starting here with Menu Background. So let's style this up to match up our live demo. We'll make this white. And then we have menu alignment here. This allows you to align the menu items left or right. And next up, we have some horizontal padding for the menu. This setting applies padding between the menu items and the edge of the browser. And you can use this setting to ensure that the nav menu aligns with the content on your page if needed. Now keep in mind that this setting only applies to the desktop mode. Next is padding between menu items, which similarly sets the padding between the items in the menu. Next up, we have some border settings for the sub-nav. Now, it's a border that can be applied around items that have a sub-menu. So we have the color here, opacity of the border, and border radius, which sets the radius for the border. You can use higher values here for rounded corners. Finally, here we have font settings for all the text in the navigation, and we'll leave it at size 16, but we'll add the font Brandon Grotesque. And font weight can stay normal as well. Next up, we've got the item settings, and this is where the structure of the actual menu is configured. Now, there are 6 possible menu items, but keep in mind that these are just the primary menu items that appear in the main site nav, otherwise known as the parent items. Now, each primary item can have 5 sub-menu items, so you can technically have 30 menu items potentially. Each item settings section allows you to set up one parent menu item along with all of the child or sub-menu items. Now, of course, not every primary menu item requires you to have a sub-menu, so you can enable this per menu item. So let's open up our first item. Now, in a lot of cases, you might want your first item to be a link to the home page, so let's type home for the item title. Next, we have item link, which for right now, I'll just put MuseThemes.com, but you can put whatever page that you want the item to actually link to. And then finally, we have item link target, which sets whether this opens in a new window or the same window, which we can leave as the same. Now, since this is just a home page link, we're not going to enable sub-menus on this one. So in this case, we can leave this option here, enable sub-nav items unchecked. But you can see that if we do check the box, we now get the option to enable up to 5 sub-menu items for this one particular home tab. So let me leave this unchecked, but we'll drop down here to our second item in the main menu. And we're going to want to enable this. We'll give it a title of services. And for this one, we are going to enable all of our sub-nav items. And then we can go ahead and toggle on all of them once they're available to us here. Now let's go down the list and give a name to each of our sub-nav items for this tab. So we'll go with business cards, flyers, stickers, postcards, and restaurant menus. And we'll leave all of these to open in the same window, And since this is a demo, I'm just going to copy and paste the MuseThemes.com link for all of them, but keep in mind you can customize the target link for each of these sub-nav items individually. Additionally, you may have noticed down here at the bottom of each main menu item, you have the ability to customize the sub-nav background color for each main item, as well as the sub-nav font color. So that means that each of your sub-navs can have different background and font colors than your main header if you like, which is pretty cool. And just for the sake of demo, let's set up one more sub-nav. I'll go to item 3, we'll toggle it on, and we'll give it a title of About. Now let's enable those sub-nav items, and let's say this time we want to enable 3 of the sub-nav items. And we'll title them Our Story, How We're Different, and Careers. And I'll go ahead and paste that link in all of these once again. Perfect. Now before we give this a preview, let's take a look at our mobile settings down here at the bottom. This widget utilizes a mobile mode for smaller screens such as phones, and in this mode, a hamburger icon is shown instead of the individual menu items. Now when the hamburger icon is touched, a menu slides in from the side, and all of the menu and sub-menu items will be seen in this slide-in menu. So this first setting here is mobile breakpoint, and this sets the width of the browser where the mobile mode is triggered. And this setting can be updated based on the number of menu items that you have or the space that they take up. Menus that are a little wider will need to switch to mobile mode at a higher breakpoint value to ensure that the menu items don't overlap the main logo, or if they just look bad at reduced sizes. Now the rest of these settings are pretty self-explanatory, but allow for customization of the mobile menu itself, including colors for various elements, as well as fonts. So let's give this a browser preview. And there we go. Let's click into our sub-navs. And everything is functioning perfectly. So thanks again for watching. We hope you enjoy our new secondary sliding nav widget. It's a pretty awesome feature and can also be a real time saver since all the functions are pretty much self-contained in this one single element, but provide for many options and functions. So thanks again for joining us. Hit us up in support for any concerns and we'll catch you in the next tutorial. Take care.